Simone Biles, who when it was realized that she was going to withdraw from this Olympics, all the excuses came out about her mental health, even from herself. She sat there on the podium and said, I just think it's the best thing for my mental health to sit out. That's the excuse she used. And then what did everyone say? Simone Biles breaks silence with heartbreaking mental health revelation. The media came out and they defended her. She has subsequently withdrawn from all these other things, bringing all this attention on herself. But the story continues to change. But you're not allowed to criticize her. Just like we had that person in the chat. We're not allowed to criticize Simone Biles. Then what happened when people started saying, yeah, it kind of feels like you quit on your team. We understand mental health problems, but that's like Tom Brady or Michael Jordan just in the third quarter of the NBA Finals of the Super Bowl, just saying, you know what? I'm not really feeling it. Then the story changes. Simone Biles says she didn't quit on her U.S. team. Repeat, she has the twisties. This isn't exactly what I would categorize as a mental health problem, right? Like for my mental health, I need to sit out. That's not what this is. Now she's saying, well, her mind and body aren't quite in sync and she doesn't feel comfortable physically out there. That is very much different from her mental health.
Yep.
And so the story continues to change, but you're not allowed to criticize her. And the media continues to run this stuff. Simone Biles is an example for your team, right? Over and over again. And like I said, people in the chat that were trying to blame her medication were fooled by the mainstream media. All these reports come out about Simone Biles. Well, the reason she hasn't been able to focus is because she can't take her ADHD medicine. Yes, she can. There's an exemption for athletes, but you were tricked by the mainstream media who wants to protect Simone Biles at all costs. It is absolutely ridiculous. And listen, I can't pretend to be in that moment. I can't pretend to understand what's going on. But when you are Simone Biles, when you are someone who has literally put a goat on your uniform, puts a goat on your sandals that you wear around for competition because you are calling yourself the greatest of all time, you are going to be held to a high standard. And this is laughable that you just can't criticize her for some reason.
Well, yeah, and again, that's the points that I was making in the video I made where I talked about that. If you want to fall on the mental health excuse, then you can't show where you have literally put tons of pressure on yourself by calling yourself the GOAT. Real GOATs don't call themselves the GOAT. Michael Jordan doesn't call himself the GOAT. He lets everyone else call him the GOAT. Tom Brady doesn't call himself the GOAT. He lets everyone else do it. LeBron James calls himself the GOAT. And guess what? He's mentally weak and he fails in the biggest moments because he's trying to project. He's trying to make himself out to be something he's not. So when Simone Biles does that, when she puts GOAT on her uniform, that's going to add pressure. You are adding pressure to the situation, unnecessary pressure. Then she said it's okay for athletes to talk about politics, and she thinks athletes should continue to speak out about politics. Does anyone think that Simone Biles thinks that athletes that are pro-Trump should speak out for Trump?
Of course not.
No, not even fucking close. And she does have a severe case of TDS because every single time I see an athlete or a Hollywood nut job do something like this, I always check to see what happens when I link them to Trump. And almost every single time there's a case of TDS. Every single time. So she says it's okay to speak out about politics. She runs her mouth about politics. That's going to get a lot of criticism her way. She calls herself the GOAT. That's going to bring added expectations and pressure to any situation she's in. And then the moment that it gets a little bit tough, she has twisted this story up so much to where now there's no consistency. The mainstream's doing her dirty work for her. And then you have people like that in our comment section repeating the mainstream talking points when they don't even do the slightest bit of research. And here we are. Simone Biles is a quitter. It's just what's happened. You can't deny it. That's just the fact. She's a quitter.
And this is the mainstream media. CNN can't get over white males having an opinion on Simone Biles. This is literally from the CNN broadcast. White male talking heads question courage of Simone Biles because they want to make it about race.
Yep.
They want to make it about race.
Yep. You know what? I saw that clip. Guess who wasn't in that clip? Jason Whitlock, because he came out and blasted Simone Biles. But Jason Whitlock does not fit their narrative.
Nope.
And hammered Simone Biles.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure CNN saw my video too, but of course, I don't fit that narrative either, so they're going to eliminate us from their video and just focus on the boogeyman, the straight white male.
And you want to know, like Jeremy was talking about, goats don't call themselves the GOAT. Like, look at this self-awareness. Tiger Woods, Dwayne Wade, right, called him the greatest of all time while they were doing a little interview. Tiger Woods corrects Dwayne Wade after Basketball Star calls him the GOAT. I'm not there yet, right?
Yep.
This is Tiger Woods. He also says, I'm not done, right? I still have more to my legacy. But, like, this is the type of attitude that true all-time greats have. Not sitting there resting on their laurels, understanding their position, being somewhat humble still. Simone Biles did not do that. Simone Biles doubled down on this GOAT stuff, and now she can't deal with it. And the cucked, woke mainstream media is doing everything they can to make sure they protect her. And to some extent, it's working because she's being heralded as a hero. You got these dumb fucks in chat that want to literally bow down before their queen, Simone, because the mainstream media told them to. But Simone Biles is a quitter because she has not been consistent on her argument. So the only thing I can now assume is that as you continue to change your story and lie is that you are a quitter and that you got scared in the moment. And you know what? If that happened, you're 24 years old. If you just said, that's what happened, at least we would have some respect for you.
Own it. Yeah. Own it. Go ahead.
I said this when she came out with the Twisty story 3 days later. I was like, okay, I believe that the twisties are real. You said that you had the twisties when you arrived in Japan. Why didn't you say the twisties at first? Why did you wait till 3 days later to say you had the twisties after the mainstream media had already ran and said that, it was mental health? And you even said yourself, I want to focus on my mental health, the pressure. Said nothing about the twisties until 3 days later. 3 days later.
After she qualified really well for all these fucking events, right? After she qualified extremely well for all these events. And remember what she said before she decided to pull out? What did she say? Prelims, check. Now to prepare for finals. It wasn't an easy day or my best, but I got through it. I truly do feel like I have the weight of the world on my shoulders at times. I know I brush it off and make it seem like pressure doesn't affect me, but damn, sometimes it's hard. Olympics is no joke. You're talking about feeling the pressure. Then all of a sudden it's the twisties. Then all of a sudden it's mental health. Then you want to let people spin a narrative about ADHD medication that you have with you. Simone Biles, I have no respect for her anymore.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just as simple as owning it and having self-awareness. It's like the Tiger story that you just talked about. And again, a real GOAT, they don't want to feel like they've accomplished that status. They want to feel like I've got more to do, because if they are active in the game and you mentally have accepted that you're the GOAT, that's going to take a ton of edge off of what you're going to accomplish. That's what's right in front of you. That's why, so like Tom Brady, like every day he shows up to practice like, hey, my job's on the line. This dude finds reasons to put a chip on his shoulder. Even though he has no reason, he finds reason. Michael Jordan used to invent stories that weren't even true just to keep him motivated. You want to talk about mental toughness. Now, look, Kobe Bryant, late, great Kobe Bryant. Yes, he put himself in a bad situation with his controversial situation years and years ago. Okay. And guess what? He dealt with it. Tiger Woods put himself in a very bad predicament, had a lot weighing him down, and he dealt with it and he overcame it. He didn't use it as an excuse. That's what the all-time greats do. And again, there's nothing wrong with Simone Biles having to step back for whatever reason. If there was too much pressure, there's too much pressure. No one's hating on her for that. No one's hating on her for her decision to try to step back. It's how muddy the story has gotten and how she has been willing to accept these false narratives about it because she's trying to look for an out, and also the mainstream media for how they have twisted this story and manipulated this story when we all know if it was someone that didn't fit their narrative, they would be destroying these people, because the mainstream media is truly the enemy of the people. And this is why we get so aggravated with how they cover these situations. And Simone Biles sat back and was like, yeah, let them run with that narrative now. That's why people are frustrated. It's not because she stepped back. It's not because she quit. It's because she put expectations on herself as the GOAT. And then when she couldn't handle the moment that she created for herself, she wanted to step back and then try to twist the story up and spin all of these narratives. And now it's just a mess. It's just a mess.
Yeah. I mean, a bad precedent has been set. This is the Naomi Osaka excuse. Naomi Osaka, the media did the same thing. Maybe Simone Biles saw what happened with Naomi Osaka, saying she's going to step away, even though she didn't really step away. She went and shot
Sports
cover shoots
Illustrated
and stuff like
swimsuit
that.
edition,
Yeah.
So Simone or Naomi Osaka says, "I just have so much anxiety. I can't really talk to the press." She's pictures of herself in a fucking swimsuit for the cover of Sports Illustrated. It seems really like you have trouble with anxiety when you're doing that. Does an entire Netflix documentary that just so happens to drop when the Olympics happens, and then she makes a very quick exit as she underperforms. And I'm sure we'll blame that on mental health too. This is a generational thing. You have these fucking kids, literally mental health problems are fucking celebrated. Everyone needs to fucking have one to feel special about themselves. And they fall back on that when they fail at something. It is a generational thing with a lot of these young athletes. And I have fucking zero respect for it because there are actual people that have mental health problems. All this little bullshit that they're coming out with is garbage. Simone Biles, don't fucking respect you because you've lied over and over again.